For this video, I'm going to show you virtual machine scale sets. So let's create a resource. Create it. And then give it a name. And let's do uniform. Let's do Ubuntu. Size, I'm fine. Standard. Let's do password. And we keep that the same. Let's edit the NIC to allow SSH so we can connect to the server and enable public IP address and focus on scaling. So scale set is, similar to fault tolerance load balancing, where your virtual machine's getting the resource use is too high for CPU and everything, so then it adds another virtual machine. So do we need two for initial? And it's like elasticity where it adds more when you need more and it takes away when you don't need it. We'll just start with one. We'll do manual, and I'll do this later, the policies and stuff. Let's see. Everything else is good, so we're gonna create. I'll come back when it's ready. Okay, it's ready. So let's go to it. And this is scale set, and let's go to instances. And here's the one instance that has. And we could copy the public IP address and open up PuTTY to SSH into it. So you copy that public IP, so post it, SSH for 22, and open. And then you put your login info. So alright, cool, we're connected to the instance of the virtual machine. So let's go here and let's do get out of where'd it go? Here. Let's go to scaling and we'll do custom auto scale. So there's a whole point of a virtual machine scale set is that you could determine by creating conditions here of how many virtual machines you want to do when your resources are being exhausted. So we're going to do scale based on a metric, and then let's add a rule, and it's good. And so you could put in all the conditions, I guess, to make the task happen. So I guess you could call them triggers. So average time, and the metric name is CPU percentage. So what it's going to do is we'll set if it's greater than 70 for 10 minutes, then increase count, and that's virtual machine instant, by increase count by 1 and cooldown for 5 minutes. So that's fine. We'll add that rule. So here, instance limits. So default's 1 is if for some reason they can't determine how many virtual machines you need, it'll choose that. So right now, it's minimum is 1, maximum is 1. So let's raise the maximum to something like 3. So if this rule happens, if the average percentage CPU is greater than 70, then it's increased by 1. So it'll go from 1 to 2 and then to 3, but it won't go higher than 3 because that's the way it's set. So let's save that. Okay, so it's saved, and let's go back to the PuTTY session. And first, I'm gonna update the packages. So sudo apt-get update. And I'll come back when that's done. Okay, cool. Let's clear the screen. Uh-oh. Okay. I was thinking I was in PowerShell. So now we do let's install stress test. Install stress. And I'll come back when it's done. Alright, it's done. So let's look quickly one more time. So the rule is if it's CPU is over 70, then increase by 1. So let's make that happen. So let's run this stress test. So to do that, we do sudo stress and CPU to 90, and it's going to stress it, the CPU. So I'm going to wait like 10 minutes or so as it's doing this, but I want to show that right now in the instances there's only one running, and as the stress test makes the CPU work more than 70%, then there will be another instance. So we'll come back to this later on after a couple more minutes. Alright, it's been like 5 minutes. Let's check. Okay, so we added a second one, and I'm not going to wait any longer. So that's just how skill sets works. It'll spin up new virtual machines as you need it, because the CPU is being stressed 90%. So when you're done with it, then always remember to delete resources. And this will delete even all the instances